side, we found a nice steep hill, and we went, ooh, sledding hill. We have sleds with. So we climbed up to the top, and we found on top of that hill, there was another steep hill. So we climbed up to the top of that one, and on top of that one, setting at another angle to it, was a third steep hill. So we were in hog heaven. We were like, man, we're going to make the ultimate luge run ever. And it's about in the 20s today. The snow's kind of melty. We could make this really great sledding run. This will be awesome. So we spent all afternoon making this awesome sledding run. We made sleepers and embankments and everything on it. And then we said, okay, it's too wet to use it now. We got to come back after it freezes again. So 2 days later, it was 20 below. And it was afternoon, second week in February 1972. And we said, well, let's go back and go sledding now. It's super cold, it's Friday, school's over, awesome, we're getting some sledding all day. And we took off with our little sleds and we went back there. Well, each of us made 2 runs down the hill. And we had started out in such a way that I can't remember which one of us got to the top first, but one of us was going down the hill when the other one was only about halfway up the second hill. So when one was at the top, the other one was at the bottom working their way up, and we were doing this back and forth. It was my turn. I was up at the top and put my little sled down. I had about a 5 or 6 foot run up to the edge of this really steep first hill. And I looked back behind me, and all that was on this hill was just barren hardwood trees, mostly smaller ones, a few popples, and there was one really huge black spruce that was about 40 feet away from me. And I turned around, and I was about to jump on my sled, and something just didn't seem right. So I turned back, and I looked again. I'm 10 years old, I'm not that observant. I'm like, yes, something just kind of looks different. And again, something in the back of my head went, that's just not right. It's not right. I turned around and I looked, and I went, by golly, it's not right. That black spruce tree only has 1 trunk, not 3, and those 2 extra trunks have fur on them. Well, hair, really long hair, long gray hair. What's got long gray hair? Is there some kind of snow pants with long hair on them or something? That must be somebody pranking me. So I looked up above to about where, a teenager or even an adult would be, 5-6 feet. But there was just pine branches there. And then I noticed rustling up above that about 3 more feet, and I looked up, and up at 9 feet, there was this face looking at me, and it had its hands like this, holding one branch apart, the top and the bottom, and it was peering down at me, and it went and grinned. And its face did not look even remotely human. It had a flat nose with 2 nose slits. It had a big, thick brow ridge, receding forehead. It was hard to see from up here. I don't know if it had a crest or not, because that's where the branch was. When it grinned, I could see all of its teeth. It had upper and lower canines, and all of the teeth in its mouth in front that I could see were all sharp. So it was obvious to me this thing was a predator. And as we found out after the fact, actually, the only time a great ape will bare its teeth at something is when it's trying to scare it and basically saying, this is one of the weapons I'm going to use to tear you apart. So at the time, not knowing that, but being plenty scared anyway, I leaped on my sled. And I flew down that hill as fast as I could. I'm surprised I didn't melt the snow or start the hillside on fire. And I didn't care if I went off one of the supers and killed myself or hit a tree. That was irrelevant. I was just going to get away from the monster. And about halfway down the hill as I was flying down it, my friend was walking up and saw me coming. And he said, I didn't even have to guess what was going on. I just saw your face was white, your eyes were bulging, and you said, run like hell! So I jumped on my sled, and I was right behind him. Now, when I got to the end of the fire lane back to where the house was 3 miles away, I was a good 15 minutes ahead of him. And for about 10 of those minutes, I was standing there going, where was I just at? I'm not waiting for Dave. Why am I waiting for Dave? I had hysterical amnesia and completely forgot that whole incident for 2 years. And finally, at one point, my friend Dave was we had just a little gathering with me, him and 3 or 4 other friends, and he said, remember that time we went sledding out there at the end of the fire lane? And I'm like, no. Yeah, we went across that bog and we found those really steep hills, all the 3 of them stacked up, and I'm like, no. And he goes, yeah, and you were coming down the hill really fast, and you said, run like hell. Boom. And it all came back, and we just went, you asshole, why did you remind me of that? And for a month, I wouldn't talk to him.
Wow.
Because it was so traumatic. Actually, I'm still getting treated for post-traumatic stress to this day, and that's one of the things that I'm getting treated for. But when you're 10 years old, you see a 9-foot predatory monster, which turns out to be the Wendigo after a few decades of study. It's not a comforting thing. And it also ruins your belief in authority figures and your parents who told you that there is no such thing as monsters. And look, there's a freaking monster right there. Now don't tell me there's no such thing as monsters. And I see bears all the time. I live a mile from the county dump. There's 3 or 4 of them in my yard every week during the summer. So it isn't like I'm mistaking, and this is in the middle of winter. Second week, 20 below. So bears aren't going to be out wandering around anyway. Plus they're not 9 feet tall with, 8 to 10 inch grayish white hair, especially in Minnesota. Although it did have claws on its hands, which is another thing that threw me. It took me years to figure that one out, because of course all the Bigfoots that they show, including Patty, didn't have claws or anything like that. It took me a long time to research to find out that the eastern Bigfoot, the Wendigo type, actually does have claws and big grill of sharp, nasty teeth. So that's it.
Wow.
And I haven't told this a million times like Bob Gimlin has the Patterson-Gimlin film thing. So
It was scared the hell out of me.
that's right. You think you're scared? I seen the son of a bitch. I'm fucking scared. And the second time I ran into one who was in the dark and he was sitting on a for me to walk into him. That was way scarier.
Thank you so much.